Hey, all right. You are listening to the Deadman's Tome podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Deadman, and this is the show that's broadcast live deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. Just a reminder for everybody, if you want to help support this show, you want to help support the upcoming Hollywood Holocaust issue, that is a doozy of a title, and it's almost out. It's almost ready. I say almost. The stories have been selected for the most part. I still have 2 open slots. I've requested for additional artwork, but if you want me to get more artwork, I want to put art before every story. That's the goal. If you want to help me with that, feel free to donate using streamlabs.com/MrDeadmanDT. That's the only way, because otherwise the show's been completely demonetized because this voice you're hearing is just too damn sexy. Hey, don't ask me. Ask Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube. Oh, however you say her last name. Whatever. Anyway, the guest tonight is Natalie Brown. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. I cannot complain. Now, I have one question that I always start off with all my guests. Who are you and what do you do, Natalie Brown?
Well, my author name is N.M. Brown. I actually do quite a bit. I am a short story horror author. I publish. I work for the legal team of Creepy Podcast. I voice act and media direct for Scarecrow Tales podcast. But above all, I love writing and publishing. Our publishing house, Nocturnal Sirens, has been up since January. But before then, I ran Suicide House Publishing by myself. That opened up in June of 2019.
Wow. So you ran a publishing house by yourself called Suicide Publishing, is that right?
Suicide House Publishing.
Suicide House Publishing. And then you got into another publishing house with other people?
Yes, I joined forces with my best friend, Melody Marvin. And what had happened was she had a really, really good idea to try to make a children's horror anthology set. There's 2 of them, Mother Ghost Grimm. The first one came out last year. The second one comes out in July. And it has artwork also. Kind of wanted to be akin to the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Mm-hmm. And well, with a book like that, you can't, it's kind of bad form to have brought to you by Suicide House Publishing
right,
on a children's book. So that's why we merged and got the new LLC for Nocturnal Sirens Publishing.
Okay. All right. So
more user-friendly.
Before we get any further, now, normally I'm talking to a horror writer or a horror author, but tonight I'm talking to a horror publisher. So in this episode, we're definitely going to get some information that could be very insightful for writers that are looking for another publisher or just looking around. But first, I'm sure they want to know, how long have you been publishing?
I started June 18th of 2019.
Okay, so almost a year.
Yes. Okay. It was definitely something that was not planned, but I'm really glad that I did it.
Okay. And why publishing?
Well, honestly, when I started writing, I joined the Author Alliance on Facebook, which has a whole bunch of members of the Reddit subreddit No Sleep, which has about 13 million subscribers. That's right. That's where I started posting my horror. And I started getting involved in their anthologies, and they published my first work and made my dream come true. If you asked me 10 years ago if I ever thought that I would be in a book, I would laugh. And I haven't written one myself. My solo book does not come out until the end of the year. But between January of 2019 and right now, I've been in about 52 anthologies. And I wanted to be able to do that. Like our Mother Ghost anthology has a husband and wife that got to be published together, so they'd have something for their kids. My husband and I have been published together. He's an artist. He doesn't really, I'm the writer, okay. But just it's something to have something nice. And I wanted to give back. I wanted to learn how to do it, first of all. I wanted to learn the process, everything about it. That's why I'm involved in so much, like audio, editing. I wanted to absorb everything that I could so I could attempt to be the best at what I did.
Hey, that's pretty good. I mean, so you started off on the no sleep subreddit. That's that's a pretty good place to start, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm really long-winded. I
Oh
apologize
no, no,
in advance.
it's no problem.
I guess that's why we're here.
It's no problem. One thing that came to mind is I remember hearing about this. I think a couple months ago that I guess someone on No Sleep. I don't know if it was No Sleep or if it was one of the other horror subreddits, but they were complaining that I guess YouTubers were like outright pretty much stealing their content, not paying them for it, not even crediting them for it.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's still something that is going on to this day. The relationship between horror authors and narrators, not so much podcasters, mainly YouTube narrators, is very, very volatile. It has not been going very well this year. And there was the writer's blackout that happened that, a whole bunch of authors got involved in. And it was basically a writer's strike. If you're not monetized, like if you have, I don't know, like 800 subscribers, that's one thing. That's not a big deal. And you don't have to abide by it. I don't. I pretty much give permission, to anyone that asks, because
I mean,
I want.
I say ask every time. I say, I mean, the submission,
Oh yeah,
the sub count might be small, but I say ask every time because if not, you are stealing. I mean, you're taking someone's work and you're just reading and be like, oh, fair use. Good luck. Good luck on that. If they wanted to take you to court, if they wanted to, but good luck. It's
I
court's
haven't.
expensive.
I haven't been taken to court, but I did have one YouTube video of mine that was taken down, and 9 months later, the YouTuber made this like hour and a half long video just dragging me through the mud. I mean, we're okay now. We talked about it like adults, but that gentleman was very angry, very angry.
Well,
But
as he but it sounds like he had it coming because I mean, if you're reading someone's story, you didn't write it. You're just reading and be like, oh, it's so easy. No, man, they put the time and energy to write that story. You're just reading it. Maybe you have a great voice. Maybe okay, but you are just taking their stuff.
yeah, it wasn't even that. This YouTuber was somebody that read people's stories and then like crashed them. Like I'm not even going to say what it's called, but it was basically something that they would read stories and then make fun of them.
Oh.
It wasn't even anything like, oh, this is an amazing story. So I went to the store one day and da 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 da. But how all of this came to be, all of it, everything where I'm at right now, I hadn't put anything on Reddit in a long time, and I was still under the naive impression that if I didn't post to Reddit every week, I would disappear into a black void. Nobody would remember who I was ever again. It's not true. It's obviously not true.
Wait, you mean you didn't disappear at all? Oh, that's weird.
No, I didn't. I am still here. Like I pinched my cheeks and like felt my legs and stuff every morning. I was still here. I was in shock.
Okay.
But I
And,
I went outside and I voice to texted this story about a suicide hotline, Brighter Future Suicide Hotline, and I posted it and it blew up. It turned into like it's a ARG. I didn't know what that was. I still don't know what it stands for, but I know what it is now, so that's good.
what does that mean? What is ARG?
It, it's like it has its own world. Like Brighter Futures has a Discord that has 250 to 300 members that I didn't have anything to do with. There was actual telephone lines that you could call. There's interactive puzzles. A bunch of the fans live in Washington, so there's some that they would take little things, that little Easter eggs from the story that are easy to attain, like I don't know, like a red shoelace or something like that,
Okay.
and put it somewhere, and another one would go and find it. And they turned it into this huge little community and this game. and it's really really neat. But it got so big that I had to protect the name, which the legalities of being it's ridiculous.
Like you had to
All the red
protect
tape,
you had to protect your name, or
yeah, the Brighter Futures name, because it
oh,
had gotten so big and it had the fan base. So that's why I formed Suicide House Publishing, because I decided to turn the series, which has 26 stories in total, and including all the puzzles, and we paid somebody to make a blueprint of the building for us and everything, into a book. And I didn't want anybody else to publish it, and I wanted to learn it all anyway. So it was
yeah.
my opportunity, and
Well,
that's how I got to it.
yeah, that was smart to do that because you do have to protect your property. Otherwise, someone else will take it. And if it's not, under copyright or whatever, then it's someone else could. But okay, so you started the company for Suicide House, right? Suicide House Publishing.
Yes.
Now that is an incredible name. Where did that come from?
Well, basically, most of the publishing houses, they're either press or publishing or house. I was trying to find something, and I tried looking up Brighter Futures Suicide Hotline. I tried looking up Brighter Futures Publishing Company. I tried looking up so many names, and finally I was like, okay, Suicide House Publishing. And I put it in and it wasn't taken. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what it's supposed to be. So that's what it was.
All right. I mean, and I take it that the story is pretty detailed in its elements of suicide.
No,
No?
actually,
Oh,
not at all. Not
okay.
at all. The first story, because we did get a lot of not concern. We got a lot of concern about that.
Okay. I imagine
There's a
so.
lot of death. Yeah, there's a lot of death in the series, but there really aren't that many actual suicides at all. The first story is about a guy. He works at a call center. He goes into work. This guy calls, and it's basically just metaphysical questions that I had asked myself, like at the end of the night or like after a glass of wine or something like that. He
Like,
said that he was a
what's the
bad
point of
person.
living? What's the point of living? Is God real? Stuff like that. I mean, that sort of thing.
Kind of, but more personalized. He's
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm a bad person.
Oh, okay.
I'm calling you right now. Do you feel like my life is worth more than someone who is innocent, like completely innocent? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So he's like, okay, so you would treat a murderer with the exact same respect as a depressed teenager who's had done no wrong. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. All life has value. And then at the end of the story, he's like, okay, well, I have your brother AJ here with me, and I just wanted to see what kind of person you were before I did what I had to do. So the whole thing twisted. This guy was stalking him, and he ended up taking his brother, who was 17 and lived at home with mom still, his baby brother.
Yeah.
And that's how the story ended. And it just blew up. Like, see, nobody even died in that story. I mean,
Well,
it's
what happened?
left.
Is it implied like what happens to his brother? Is he going to kill his brother? He's going to stab his brother. He's going to shoot him.
No, the line disconnects. And by the time the police get there, there's nothing there. And then 10 stories later, it comes back to that character and it says that his brother was never found. Like,
Oh,
I mean, everybody assumes that he's gone, but they never found him. So, like, I don't know, maybe he, like,
that's how you
moved
did
to.
it. You had that cliffhanger. You had it in just right. You people don't know. You keep them in suspense. You don't know how it really ended. It's up to debate. Oh,
Yes, I'm really, really, really big on that. I mean, I'm sure, like, I have to try other styles, but to me, that I don't like to tie things up even with like even with an unhappy ending, like an ugly bow. I like to be ambiguous because the story, in my opinion, sticks in your head more that way, and you get to think about it and you form your own ideas of the characters. Like, I'm not going to tell you what happens to these characters. A husband and wife could listen to the same story and have two totally different opinions. I want them to talk about it. I want them to think about what happens. Oh, you don't think that's going to happen? Why? That's totally what happens. Stuff like that. Conversation. I
oh
want my
wow.
stories to have conversations.
Okay, I remember you saying something about like with scary snippets, which we'll get into, I guess, in a little bit. About family horror. Is that what you mean by family horror?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
see, I
that
didn't know
one.
what you meant. I thought family horror would be like someone coming out of the closet on during Thanksgiving dinner with all the grandparents there, all the relatives, at a very God loving, God fearing house. Would that be family horror?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe like 20, 30 years ago, I mean, my grandparents would have been totally cool if I was a teenager. I mean, they would have been more upset if we were out of cranberry sauce. But
Yeah, depends on the family.
actually, it's funny you mentioned that because one of the stories that I wrote for family, yeah, yeah, but for family actually involves Thanksgiving. This little boy has this friend that nobody else can see, and the mother thinks that it's the spirit of her dead brother because she's very like spiritual, metaphysical, all that stuff. Um, well, it turns out that the best friend, or the imaginary friend that knows all this stuff about the mother is real. So they get a knock on the door and they're like, well, this person's not supposed to be real. Why are they knocking on the door? And
Yeah.
then they let them in. And the little boy's like, oh, it's my friend.
Ah,
And basically, it's bad because he's been watching the little girl since she was small. And he's the one that killed her brother that died when she was little that she thought was the spirit and all that. It's convoluted. I hope that made sense. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned that.
yeah,
That's the
that sounds like family drama with death. That okay,
yeah.
that sounds like horror. That sounds like family horror right there. Okay. And of course, it's gonna have Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, when you think family horror, it's gonna be like a get together. Good God, no one talk politics. No one talk politics here. Okay, I want to get through this. I want to get through this real fast. Okay. Oh, okay. But all right. So let me backtrack. Make sure I get your history here before, because like I said, a lot of horror writers or writers in general might listen to this, want to know what another publisher wants. When they submit something. So now you wrote some stories yourself, a lot of short stories. It sounds like you're in a lot of different anthologies.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. What is? Well, I'll get into your favorite stories in a little bit. I'll pocket that real fast. But okay, when you went to from Suicide House Publishing and you went to that, you started your new company with someone you talked to, with one of your friends.
Yes.
Okay, how was that experience like?
Honestly, I feel bad. I don't want to say this because I still love you. I still love you, whoever will be listening to this. What happened was I had paid an editor like a lot of money
Okay.
to help format my books because I wanted to publish, but I wanted to get it right. Like I wanted to learn formatting
Mm-hmm.
because it's much more tedious than anyone could have ever imagined. But once you get it down, you get it down.
Especially
But
ebooks. Ebooks are much more
yeah,
tedious than people think.
oh my goodness gracious. Table of contents on paperbacks are a nightmare sometimes. Like if you don't, like I have it down now, but at first it was very, very daunting. Um, but I don't remember what I was saying now. This happens every time.
Oh, I was
Help me
talking
out
about.
here.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, editor. I paid her. I paid her a bunch of money and something went terribly, terribly wrong. Like right about everything started going bad in the world. She had like family emergency. And I basically was left having to do the book by myself.
Mm.
And the first draft it wasn't to publishing yet, but it was all set up to go. I sent it to Melody, author Melody Grace, who's my partner. And she looked through it and she's like, oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, this is so bad. you can't do this. I said, I know, I don't know what to do. Like, what is this? And
So
she's
she
like,
checked
let
you.
me,
She
yeah,
was able to call your bluff. Okay.
she checked it and she corrected it. She's like, all right, give me an hour and I'll do this. And she would check my stories and check my books. Like, help me do this. I don't know how to do this. I know now. She's taught me. Like, everything is amazing. Her little girl is grown up, which is funny because I'm like a million years older than she is. It's an inside joke for when she hears it. But finally I was like, do you want to just like work with me? Like, you can be my editor and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I mean, we can do that. Yeah. But we should change our name. I said, yeah, I know, because that was only really supposed to be synonymous with one project anyway. It just, I felt like I had to make a move to protect it. So I did. And now we can, change the name over and everything like that. So we did. It just, she was always there for me, and she's interested in it too. So we just kind of joined forces, made everything extra efficient, double the fun.
Hey, and look at that. So it started off from someone who uh, had the backbone, had the guts to tell you when your stuff stunk. I mean, that's a quality that we need. That's how you know that's someone you should work with if you're going to be a publisher or even a writer. You want an editor that's going to call you out, and she was willing to work with you on that. That's good. That's good. And is that how we get to scary snippets?
Yes,
Okay.
scary snippets. They're actually not so much anymore. Now it's more of the 500 microfiction pieces. But back in 2019, Drabble anthologies were hot. They were everywhere. I've been in so many of them. But the only thing was, because of how everything is set up, it's almost nearly impossible, because Drabble collections are huge. I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the first ones that I was in had over 300 authors. You sell that book for $12.99. Can you imagine having to divvy that up come royalty time? It's almost literally impossible to pay authors for Drabble collections. But I wanted to
Yeah, it's a
try.
lot of authors. That percentage becomes nothing. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. But I wanted to try because everybody loved it. It was popular. I wanted to try, and I wanted to see what I could do. So I'm like, okay, here, look. Instead of taking 400, 300 authors, we will take 75 to 100. And we will do it 100 to 500 words. And we will do it themed.
Okay.
And everybody else was doing it. And I opened a subreddit. It's kind of in hibernation right now because of everything everything else going on. It
Right.
kind of got pushed over the shelf when the new quarters fell, like in the old arcade machines.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called Holiday Horror, and it was for holiday horror stories all year round, because I had an idea for a Christmas story in February, and I'm like, well, I can't post this to No Sleep. I can't post this to Creepy. Like, where am I supposed to post this? And I
Right.
looked for an hour. I couldn't find anything, so I just made one. And I just anytime anybody has any kind of holiday idea or current event, within tasteful reason, of course, like back to school, that kind of current event,
Mm-hmm.
put it there. They can post it there.
Okay. All right. Now, what are some things as a publisher that you look for? Like, if someone submits a story to you, what are some things that you're definitely looking for?
Honestly, I mainly, I'm very forgiving. Like, made this mistake so many times. Like, somebody will send a submission and they'll forget to send the attachment. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. Um, the little things that matter to me is sending your biography. It sounds so silly, but it saves so much time. Sending your biography with your submission. If your submission is as pretty as you think it can be, or horrifying as you think it can be, and formatted well, and you send it in, you should send it in with the attitude that this could very well be accepted. And you want the publisher to have all the information once it is.
Hmm.
So they don't have to come back and be like, hey, can I have your bio, please? And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's like 4 people yesterday. I asked them for their bio and I had it. Like, they gave it to me in December. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm sorry, I can't find it. So just like that word count.
Okay.
It's always to say, dear editor, thank you. I understand you don't really think about stuff like that. You're so nervous when you're starting out. You don't even think of stuff like that. So I definitely don't hold it against anyone, but it is something that I saw another publisher bring up well after I started my publishing company, and I changed every single submission that I ever send out. Dear editorial team, blah, 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 blah. Please accept this for consideration. Thank you, N.M. Brown.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
just,
definitely professional there, and there there is a quality to it. I mean, there's definitely an expectation of quality. Like if I read an email like that and there's an attachment, I'm probably like, okay, this story's probably gonna be a different caliber than just a blank message and an attachment. I'm like, well, what is this, a virus? I'm thinking, okay, this looks questionable.
On the other side of the coin, there are a lot of authors that are so established that they don't feel the need to include that because we should already know who they are.
Right.
So there's those too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it means a lot to me. And also, don't get discouraged if you get rejected. Like, I've been doing this a long time and I've been writing even longer, and rejections, it's really not, don't beat yourself up. I've had authors like not write for like take month hiatus, and my rejections are very, very sweet. This is what I thought happened. If I have another call that I see, because I do submit a lot myself as an author that I think is appropriate, I'll send it to them. But just basically, try, even if you're not, or you don't think that you are. I don't think I'm professional right now, but I mean, here we are right now. So
wait. Did I just hear that you would actually refer them to another submission call?
Absolutely. If what they wrote is not fit for what I have going on, yeah, absolutely. I had one for Scary Snippets. I think it was Christmas. It was one of the anthologies. And I turned them to another one, and I'm like, I think that this is a really good story. Doesn't really fit the theme of what we're going for, but I think that if you want to check this out, here's their website, here's the submission calls, because we're all here to help each other.
Okay.
Like, I feel bad enough that I'm not able to take everyone that submits to me,
Right.
So it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, the fact you're able to take that many is that's. God, I have to take a shot for that. I mean, that's a lot of stories, a lot of authors to manage and to manage the royalties. Me personally, I guess maybe it's because I'm just doing short stories mostly. I kept it at 10. Any more than that, I'm like, the royalties become nothing after 10. After 10, it's like now the percentage gets smaller. But that's a lot of work to manage.
It is, but I always told my husband, like last year with everything, I'm like, it's like interning. All of the really, really big, good positions, yeah, you're not going to make a lot of money out of the gate. You're not going to be perfect out of the gate. But I researched everything, all the horror podcasts I listened to, all the television shows, the movies. I got Shudder TV, all of it. And I mean, a year ago versus now, I can watch things on Shudder and I can be like, okay, like I'm friends with the author that was supposed to be writing for season 5 of Channel Zero before it got canceled.
Oh,
and
man.
It's just everything that you do helps.
Well, that's pretty cool though, that you're friends with that guy. So, okay, now that's stuff you're looking for. Now, are there particular things that really jump out at you? Not to give you, I guess, not to make any promises of what you're really looking for, but are there certain things that are just like maybe avoiding cliches or avoiding, I don't know, I guess, problematic topics? Are there certain things that really jump at you?
Not so much. I think I've had a couple. Like there was a submission that jumped out at me in an amazingly insane way.
Okay.
At Christmas. It was a pornographic Christmas horror story.
Oh, wow.
It was not accepted. It was very imaginative. God bless him. It was imaginative, but it was not. I couldn't take it. I just couldn't do it.
Oh.
I couldn't do it.
Oh.
But
it was good though.
It was called Christmas Tree Bukkake.
Christmas Tree Bukkake.
Yes, that's what it was called. It was a wonderfully thought out title, and I'm sure he was very proud of it. I was proud for him. I couldn't take it.
Did it have like dildos hanging from the Christmas tree or something? This is not a family-friendly show, not really.
It was like murderous acid jizz, and like these teenagers were masturbating on Christmas trees, and the Christmas trees just had enough of it, and something with the human DNA inside of their spooge. Sorry,
No,
I
that's
used
okay.
the slang.
It's okay. It's fine. I brought up the topic.
DNA would mix with the cuts in the trees because these
Oh.
were all, and then they would become sentient and they went on attack. So all the horny teenagers in the town got brutally murdered, and everybody else was safe. I married couples that they were safe. Like I don't know.
But the degenerate teenagers are jacking off into the tree. They died. Everyone else though, they were good.
Oh yeah. It was like Jason Voorhees of Christmas trees. If you were getting excited, that was it for you. Done.
Look at that. Okay.
But I run groups. All of my a lot of ways to keep track of authors are for Facebook groups. And what I do is like Christmas and stuff like that. If I get a certain too many of a kind of call, I'll post it on the group. Or once a week, I'll post something off the wall that people might not think of. Like, hey, like with Easter, it doesn't have to be all about bunny rabbits and Easter eggs with like living aliens in them and stuff like that. Okay. Go back to the pagan times. Mm-hmm. Look at this. Like I would suggest things like right now, in October, we are opening up Scary Snippets.
Snippets.
Scary Snippets Technology Edition.
Oh, okay.
And that one, I said, hey, you are more than welcome to write about whatever you'd like. However, we would really like to not see so many bicentennial man Terminator, like lay off of the AI a little bit, like the synthetic beings. We want to see other stuff, human hate viruses that can, that one's very easy to believe if you expand your mind. Human hate virus that spreads through online communication into the user.
Oh, that's already happened. That's already happening right now. We don't have to get into that, but we know. We know. Social media might be the virus, man. That we can probably put a cancel on that one real fast. Probably too late. Okay, so that's stuff that jumps at you. Okay, are there things as a publisher, and every publisher has their own opinion on this, and that's fine. But are there certain things that you just do not touch? It's a no-go zone, whether it be like politics or be, I don't know, a controversial topic or what have you?
All right. Honestly, just your main stuff. Like, I don't do pedophilia. Don't really know any publishing company that does. Maybe there's one out there. I don't know.
I'm not looking for it. No.
But we do a lot of, because my specialty as an author is domestic horror. Mm. So there are a lot of sensitive topics. We haven't really had that many rape, like at all. It hasn't been implied. I don't know. People have just stayed away from it. I haven't gotten a submission to where we've even really had to think about it. I guess it's just kind of implied that that's not okay to go. I don't know if it's untasteful. I read one book that was or one story in an anthology that was very, very tastefully done about it, but it's hard to do.
It depends on the story. It depends on what's going on with it. Like if it's something where it's obviously glorifying it, it's like, what is this, man? What is this nonsense?
Gary Smith's family was terrifying. I had you come up with a disclaimer that was very, very nice that said, hey, I understand you think of step parents and dads and daughters murdering their dads. The first thing you think about is, daddy is not nice to your body and stuff like that. I really don't want that. You can hint at it.
Okay, that's another thing to look at here. This is for a family horror thing, and they're writing about that. Daddy touched me stuff. Okay.
Well, if you were a little girl, and then your boyfriend goes to touch you as a teenager
Yeah.
and it brings back memories and you murder him and then go home and murder your father. That kind of is just a prequel stepping stone to the main plot, but
Mm-hmm.
still it makes me icky. I hate to censor authors, but it makes me icky. Like there's a fine line between horror and just being gratuitously uncomfortable. But having said that, like I was getting at, I have killed off dozens of poor children in my stories without even thinking twice.
I
Not
think
even
I have
thinking
too.
twice.
I think I've killed off some kids in my stories too. Maybe even a baby once. It happened. It was called Mother of the Year, and she was using a lot of drugs, and it was just a bad scene. The whole thing was it was in a dope house. Why was there a crib in a dope house? Well, I don't know.
It happens.
It
I
happens.
mean,
That's what happens. But
you said you
I write
were
about degenerate shit. I write about degenerate shit because that's like my, I guess what I see in my day job. That's like my escape. It's a way to take all my negative energy, just dump it out there. But I present it. I present it in a way where it's like, this is what's happening. This is the scene. Like the mom's doing this, and then there's a baby trying to get her attention, but she's not paying any mind because she has that glass pipe in her mouth, and the baby rolls off the bed, and next thing you know, something else happens. Boom, 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 boom. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, babies have died in my story.
I think I've read one baby. It's really, really awkward because my best friend in life, my partner Melody, is having a beautiful baby at the end of the summer.
Oh,
And ever
that's good.
since she has gotten pregnant, it is. It's wonderful. But ever since she's gotten pregnant, I've come up with the most god awful inspirational ideas. She's like, can you just hold off until after I have the baby? I'm like, yeah. It's not anything about you. Just all these things. I had all my babies by the time I started writing. My youngest son was 7 months old when I got
Oh,
into this.
okay. Yeah, I mean, she might be thinking that those bad thoughts might be something connected with her. I don't know. Some people think that what they write comes true. I mean, have you had that problem?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Then maybe we have a problem there. Maybe she's afraid about what you write about might actually come true.
I don't know that we had an author back out of a car crash story in the Brighter Future series, and me and my friend Kyle Harrison had to finish it. And we were up way late into the night finishing it. And the next afternoon, and I mean, like, it wasn't, I asked, I'm like, did you stay up all night? And he's like, no, I got sleep. The very next day, he got into a terrible car accident, had to end up getting surgery on his spine and like everything. And 3 stories later, there was a plane crash. And one of our other best friend and authors of the collaboration, Grant, was flying from England to Australia. We didn't say anything, but God damn it, we were nervous. He's fine. Thank God. He's fine. But I'm like, oh my God.
Thank God he's fine.
Yeah.
Man.
He had a great flight. He had good food. Everything was great.
You know, I'm looking at your. I'm looking at the Kindle or the Amazon page, author page for N.M. Brown here. Horror USA California is really sticking out at me for a reason. Is that one of your books?
No. Oh man, I was really, really dreading that I'd ever have to try it. I believe it is Soitera Press. The author on Reddit, Dopabean, if you are on No Sleep in the No Sleep community, she's very, very, very popular. She does a lot for author advocacy. That is her company. She has tons of open calls all the time. That's another really, really, really great publisher. They are actually in the process of switching everything over to where they are able to pay up front for every anthology coming soon. I think the last 2 calls on their schedule are paid up front. And that's the ultimate goal for any publisher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you start doing that, it's like you're playing at a different level. It's like you are. I made the decision to do that, to pay up front, but then again, of course, I'm using my own money, of course. I mean, there's some return through Deadman's Tome, but usually it's my money going in my side cash. But it feels like I'm really giving back to the writer. It's like, look, I like your work. Here's some payment, and we'll put the story out there. But yeah.
Oh, it feels great. Oh, absolutely great. My first upfront royalty, and I'm not going to say how much, it was a 3-figure royalty. I mean, that's something that, yeah, I haven't seen that since. But
A
Black
three
Rainbow,
figure. Wow. Okay.
Black Rainbow came out around this time last year. It was produced by Scott Savino for the LGBTQIA community. And I actually had a part in that, and I got paid up front for that. And it was for a good cause. And it's actually getting a lot of attention now since it's the 1-year anniversary and it's June.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I loved it. It was amazing. I just started out and I almost fainted. I got the PayPal notification and I'm like, what?
Wow.
Okay.
That must have been. They must have had some serious backing for that. A 3-digit upfront payment. Get on that,
I
man.
think it was crowdfunded through Kickstarter. That one was.
That's how. That's how. And that's a good
Yeah.
way to do it. If you have the momentum to pull to and the draw for that, definitely. If you're listening to this and you're interested in becoming a publisher, I would say get some practice and know how to format first. Definitely have some experience before you do it. But and if you have a project that you're really passionate about, try to use Kickstarter, raise the funds, and be able to pay the authors up front. They will love you for it. They will love you for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not only them, but the people that pledge to you also. Because the great thing about Kickstarter, it's not so much that you're asking for money. You're granting people, they're paying for early access and content that isn't available through the normal. I mean, I've supported almost every single Kickstarter that's come my way. Sleepless Tarot was amazing. They had a no sleep themed tarot card series that came out. There was Wrong Roads. There was Black Rainbow. I didn't know I was going to be in that one when I donated to it. So I got my money back, definitely. But it was really, really nice. And it brings the community together. Horror authors are some of the sweetest. I mean, you'd never guess, but there's some of the sweetest people
Well,
that
a lot
you
of
could.
them are, but there are some outliers there, and every now and then, yeah, I've run into some interesting characters before, but maybe that's what Deadman's Tome gets every now and then. I don't know. That I don't know. You ever dealt with that? Any horror trolls or anything?
Well, the guy that made the video about me that was over an hour long was pretty bad, but it made me feel good. And this is kind of uncomfortable because of our genders, and it's really not supposed to matter anymore anyway. But it felt good because he assumed I was a man through the whole video.
Ah,
And like, I got on there and I commented, and I'm like, hey, I'm actually a woman. And like, it seemed like he was a little snarky, but after a while, like initially, it seemed like he was impressed. Like he kind of changed the way that he spoke to me. We were able to make amends. Because at least the one that I am familiar with, there are a lot of circles. I am only part of a small one that is mainly Reddit no sleep based. We have started branching out to other genres and other authors to try to get as many as we can. But I don't know. It just,
yeah. See, I don't think I ever used Reddit for a submission call. I've always used like Facebook or Twitter. And somehow, I don't even actively put my submission calls into like, was it Dertrope? Oh, I forgot the name of it anymore. But it automatically gets pulled into it anyway. So I get some submissions that way. I'm like, wow, that's weird. I didn't even actively put it in there, but you guys are finding it that way. That's interesting. So is Reddit for other publishers listening, I guess, or is Reddit a good way for submission calls?
no.
No.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. No. I use the Horror Tree. Stuart Conover runs a website and magazine called the Horror Tree.
Horror Tree helps out a lot. Yeah, the Horror Tree definitely helped me out.
Yes. But as far as authors go, I have made more money off of posting to Reddit than anywhere else.
Okay. You made more money that way. Okay. Through how, like, donations and stuff, or?
No, absolutely not. Mainly, like, I will write a story, and I've gotten so used to it, and it is so weird how this works, because a year ago, I didn't see how this was imaginable. Like, how can you turn air into money? But you write a story, and it does well, and then a YouTuber or podcast will approach you. Like, I've sold stories to the No Sleep podcast that I've posted to Reddit, and they pay $125 a story. Creepy Pod has a lot of my stories. They pay $1 per every 100 words, and they usually want around like 2,500 minimum. Mr. Creepypasta will pay very handsomely for stories. There's just a lot of people. Hey, do you have my permission to narrate the story? And usually I say yes, but because of the blackout, I have to be like, well, are you monetized? And at first I hated to do that. I really did. I hate thinking about that. I just want us to have fun and make art together. I want to write.
Well,
you want to read.
It's a business too, though. It's a business.
I know, yeah, exactly. I had to learn that the hard way. My old author name before N.M. Brown used to be Sinister Sweetheart, and I changed that very, very fast because it doesn't do very good to be sweet. I must have lost at least $200 by the mistakes that I made in the beginning because I just didn't know any better.
Wow. So hearing that, you guys can make a lot more money just posting onto No Sleep or, I guess with Creepypasta?
Yeah, it has 13 million. No Sleep on Reddit has 13 million subscribers. And a lot of people do think it's kind of lame. But, I mean, go on there. See what's trendy. See if there's something that you like. See if something inspires you.
I will go ahead and admit this. I'll go ahead and admit this. This is the first time No Sleep or actually Reddit's being brought up in this way. So I looked at No Sleep before. I'm aware of it, obviously. I always thought it was like, oh, man, there's a lot of stories we post up there. I didn't know people get paid for that, though. I thought they just, like, Reddit posts are, like, so easy to make, and you put it up there. But they pay for the submission, or how does the payment work?
They usually ask for your PayPal email, and then when the story comes out, they'll PayPal you. And I started writing Let's Not Meet true horror stories. And like Mr. Creeps just sent me $10 today for something that I wrote over a year ago, easily over a year ago. Wow. And it's just small things like that.
That is pretty cool. Now, I'm guessing they do rejections too. They would have to.
Well, what happens is, and I do this, I work for CreepyPod. I don't put my own stories on there. I could if I wanted to. But what I do is I work for John Grills, and there is really no way to get your feelings hurt because it's all private. If you read a story and you like the story, you contact the author. Hi, my name is Natalie. I represent CreepyPod. My boss, John, is willing to give you $1 per 100 words for this story. Your story is 7,500 words, so he's willing to give you $7,500 if you would give us permission to narrate the story. We're not buying rights to your story. You can have it published in any anthology. You can have it narrated by any YouTuber that you would like. We just want your permission, and we want to pay you for your work. So I'm on both sides. I make set people up to get paid, and then I get paid as well.
That sounds great. I hope you guys and ladies are hearing this, because there it is. Jump on that.
There's a lot of, if we had more time, there's a lot of tricks to the trade that we could go for.
With the scary snippets, what's one of your favorite anthologies with that?
I would have to say that my favorite is Valentine's Day. I love family. Yeah, the Valentine's Day one was amazing. My partner Melody did that one 100% on her own. I stepped back and did my own thing, and she put it all together and gave me a little bit of a break. And I loved it so much. One of the so many of the stories, and I've been happily married it'll be 12 years in October. I mean, I've been with my husband since I was...
Are you sure about it's happily? I mean, do you like heartbreak?
No, it's really, really good, which is why it's hard for me to write, but it's so delicious for me to read about it.
Oh.
I think I wrote one about this man's wife disappeared one day with the neighbor's son. She took the neighbor's son to school because the neighbor had to work. Well, they disappeared like three weeks earlier, and then they found their car at the bottom of a cliff. They assumed that they got ran off the road. Well, the husband was cleaning out the wife's personal effects, and he was getting rid of, like, he finally brought himself to get rid of those clothes, because that's really hard, you know, on a spouse when passes away. The last thing, getting rid of their clothes, getting their essence out of that house, you know. Well, he finds a note at the bottom, and the little boy's name was Jackson.
Yeah.
And the note said, "Dear Tobin, I know about you and Lana," which was the neighbor next door. "It always killed me that Jackson had your eyes." So the mother took the little boy and drove him off the cliff because he knew that her husband had had an affair with the neighbor, and they had consummated that child.
Man, that is a killer story. That's good. Ooh, you like crime fiction? You like those crime stories?
Kind of. I don't so much like to write them as I like to watch, like, ID Discovery Channel, Fear Thy Name, stuff like that. As far as writing it, like, if there's like a true crime or a PI call, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't.
I wonder why you can't. I wonder why you can't write it. Like when you. I mean, do you ever have those thoughts? Have you ever tried to write it?
I have and this is very interesting. This is a whole other can of worms. I have a very, very slight form of aphantasia. And aphantasia is when you have a hard time, like, okay, close your eyes.
Okay.
And my husband said, close your eyes and picture a room with a green balloon. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I asked him, I said, "What do you see?" And he's like, "Well, I see a couch and this, this, and this." And I'm like, he's like, "What do you see?" I'm like, "You know the commercial for It, where there's just a red balloon that pops up against a black screen? That's me, except it's green. I can't see any of that stuff." Like, that's why I have such a hard time writing supernatural, like ghost stories and stuff. I can't imagine it in my head to write it. Like, it can be fixed, but it's really, really difficult.
Wow.
Did you picture a whole room, or was yours just a green balloon?
I closed my eyes and I pictured a green balloon, but then the green balloon was flashing green, red, yellow, green, blue. It was flashing. But I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe there was colorful lights flashing in the room. Maybe it was at a club. Maybe a nightclub. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know either. The last time I've been to a nightclub has been a long time ago. I'm a married man.
Oh, me too.
That's not my life.
I was like a whole other person.
Oh, RC Mohair is in the chat. I think it's her birthday here today. All right. Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Okay. So that is your favorite anthology there. Okay. Now, you know, it's hard to ask a publisher what is your least favorite. But
I have a definite answer.
You definitely have a least favorite?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not hard for me to admit at all. And it was wonderfully done. It had nothing to do with any of our authors. RC is a very, very, she's been with Snippets since the beginning. Like, she's an OG. She has been with every call that we have had. She is absolutely amazing. Like, she is a gift to us, you know. But we did an Easter, and you have a picture of this one, Easter and St. Patrick's Day mashup. That was 4 anthologies ago. I was not into that one. I only have like one story in it. I kind of just, like, not really half-assed something, but I put something in there. I didn't think about it too hard. The stories in there are amazing. Amazing. Danny Nicholas wrote one about Over the Rainbow, and he had to morph song lyrics into it, but he had to change them because of legal reasons. And just the way that he did it to show the character losing his mind was incredible. It had nothing to do with any of the work in the book. But as far as my interest, unfortunately, Easter and St. Patrick's Day was the one I was like, eh.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd mash those two together. Have a leprechaun with an Easter bunny?
No, the stories didn't have to have both, but basically the first section would have Celtic font, and it would be all St. Patrick's Day stories. And then the second section of the book would have kind of like an Easter egg font, and like the author's bios, they had like terrifying rabbit ears over the capital letters, and just stuff like that. Little, cutesy thing.
Okay.
As much as, I mean, I try to make everything cute. My partner's like, stop. We are a horror company. Like, stop. This is not Claire's. I said, I know, but it's so cute.
Yeah, well, hold on. What is Easter egg font? I wonder if I could see this in the free preview on Amazon right now. What is Easter egg font? What does it look like?
Mine too.
You know, I don't know
it
if it comes up in the ebook.
No, it's not. It's just paperback, and I could have,
Okay.
Right here. For some reason, it's really, really hard to embed fonts into ebook. I use Kindle Pages. Yeah,
it is very hard.
It's
yeah,
horrible. I'm not there yet. I'm not at that level.
I'm seeing the difference here.
But it's kind of like the capital letters.
I see it. It's there. It's the first thing. Table of contents has the Easter egg font. Yeah, that's too cutesy. That's not hard.
I know.
How adorable. But you know what? Could be worse. One time I did an anthology. It was a sci-fi one. It's not my favorite anthology. It's not my favorite. I wanted to do sci-fi horror, and I got the gist that it was probably a bad call when the submission pool was kind of low. It's like, damn. I was like, damn, what am I doing here? But I got what I got out of it, which is fine. Actually, Eric S. Brown, I believe that's his name. I like his stuff too. For I guess sci-fi stuff, he writes pretty well.
Yeah.
But the cover was horrible. It was my creation. I was trying to create something that looked like something like Star Wars, something epic. What it came out was a goddamn mess. It was like, I looked back at it. I was like, was I on cocaine that day? I don't use drugs. The last time I smoked marijuana was when I was in college. That's a lie. But that's the only drug I've ever used in my life. But I looked at it, I was like, I must have been on some sort of whiskey coke binger, because how else do you explain this? And for those watching right here, maybe I could find that image. Maybe I could. You know what? I'll go look for it. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, I guess I'll upload it on I'll upload the image on the deadmanstome.net or the Facebook group. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yep. That'd be a great to make me humble. That'd be a great way to make me humble. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm sure it's not bad. Every single cover that we've had, we've done ourselves. We've gotten stock images off of like Shutterstock and Pixabay, Pixels, and we've kind of merged things in Photoshop. Kyle Harrison does all of our covers, and it's they can be really, really hard. I didn't know how to get the dimensions right. I freaked out about that for a month. It's literally, you just put in the number. That's it. You put in the number. I don't know why. I freaked out. I asked somebody that was professional, and he's like, honey, just put in the number. And I'm like, oh, and it worked. So
you just plug in the number, huh?
Yeah. Tell me to put in a number. But yeah, it's definitely a learning process.
Okay. Let's see. What is your favorite horror movie and why?
Well, I would have to say I love Waxworks because it affected me as a young child. I saw it really, really young. The people that have seen it, which there probably aren't many, the werewolf scene, I was frozen to the floor. I was like 7 or 8 years old. My mom was outside doing something, and I remember I was watching it, and I literally could not get up to tell her to like change it. I couldn't hide my face. I couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't do anything. And I was like, man, this thing is going to get me. I don't care if it's in another dimension behind a screen, if it's pixelated. I don't care. It's going to get me. And it terrified me. And then as an adult, The Strangers, I'd have to say.
Okay.
Which is so weird because it's really not that. I like the psychological ones, the ones that make me think. The line at the end of The Strangers, they ask, why did you do this? And they say, because we can. I mean, bam. It's so simple, but it just represents so much about real life things that happen like every day all over the world to people.
That's true. That's true. Um, and once again, we're kind of living in that situation now. People are realizing that they can do certain things, and there's very little authority to stop it. If you're pushed to, I don't know. We don't have to get. We don't have to go there. That's fine. I'm trying to find. I'm sorry.
I have the opposite opinion. I feel like people are more tied than ever in what they say. I feel like everybody is on the offense, which they should be. But I've seen at least two fellow female publishers have completely dropped off the face of the planet and
Why?
discontinued their company because of certain things that they said that were taken out of context and turned against them. Just to me right now, you have to be careful about everything that you do, everything that you say. And it's not a bad thing. It's just the way that the world has gotten, everybody's taking advantage of everything. And now that we're learning that we all need to treat each other like we want to be treated, and we realize we haven't been doing that. But anyway, like you said, we won't get into that, but it's a mess. I disagree. I feel like everybody's hands are tied right now and everybody is terrified.
Well, I definitely hate one of my pet peeves. I hate that term, pet peeves. I think that's really lame. But one of them is when people get nailed to the cross over something they said in a tweet or something they put out there on the tweet or on a post. It's like maybe it was taken out of context. Maybe we don't know the full story, what's going on here. Maybe, here's another thing. Maybe the person was seeing a bunch of rage. Maybe they're just blind in anger. We've all said things in anger that we regret. And that's a human thing. And to say otherwise is I don't know, it denies logic. It's like, I mean, have you ever been in a heated argument with someone, especially with a friend or someone or with a parent? God damn, you probably said something you probably regret. Well,
oh yeah, I've been married for 12 years. We've said a lot. And can you imagine one thing said in like the heat of passion or in defense or a brain fart being blown up and immortalized forever? I mean, J.K. Rowling is going down for good reason. We're not going to get into that either. She deserved it. But a bunch of people are like sinking just because nobody wants to admit that they can support each other. Everybody wants to just, I don't know.
Did J.K., but wasn't her post about menstruation that men don't menstruate?
Well, yeah, well, there's a lot of issues because there is everything going on right now with
though, right? I mean,
well, that's okay.
Isn't that a biological fact?
Yeah, but you can't really okay, for me, since we're getting into this right now, you made me uncomfortable, so I'm going to make you uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm just
You will be. Hang on. I had a problem before I had any of my children for 5 years. Okay. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay. I would get one period every year and a half. Okay. So according to Miss Rowling, the times where I did not have my period because of the polycystic ovarian syndrome, I was not considered a woman. But biologically, I have, I
don't think that's what she meant by that. That's like, generally, most people know that women have uteruses, men don't. I mean, I know there's men that want to identify as women. They want to transition. That's fine. They can do that. But, I mean, they're not, unless they could put a uterus in them, they're not going to be able to menstruate. I mean, that's just that's science.
Still no reason. Yeah, but that's no reason to invalidate. I mean, that's like somebody. I mean, I know that this is terrible. Any generalizations that either one of us make about this or comparisons are going to be terrible. But that's like telling I have 3 kids. They're all amazing. But when you have a multiple number of kids, if you guys hear this when you're old enough, I'm really sorry. I'm sure you will. I love you. You're always going to have one that's not as bright as the others. Well, that's like that one wanting to be like, Mommy, I want to be an astronaut. And me being like, you're kind of too stupid. If somebody wants to be something, be something, they should be it. If they want to be labeled as a woman and if they feel more comfortable as a woman, then it's not J.K. Rowling or my business or anybody else's business what fluids are coming out in their
Well,
underwear.
I'm just saying that some women feel like, well, wait. I mean, you could say that you are a woman. Some women feel this way. That's real. It's not just J.K. Rowling. It's some other very traditional feminists that feel that, hey, to be a woman is to be a woman, and women menstruate. You could identify it. That's fine, but there's a science behind it that you can't. I mean, it's hard to deny because saying that someone needs more intellect or intelligence or to education or to adapt skills, that's things you can learn and you can acquire. You can't grow a man's not going to grow a uterus, but you can get fake boobs. You can get boobs, and you can invert your penis into a vagina thing. I mean, if you want, you don't even have to do that. You could just say I identify anymore. And that's all you really have to do.
It's mainly just what does it affect us? What does it affect J.K. Rowling if somebody wants to identify as a woman but doesn't have a period or hasn't been able to get the corrective surgery yet? What does it matter?
I think it's not up to us. I think that would be like facts. Be like, no. But people are entitled to their opinion. Like, the reason I'm defending J.K. Rowling is the same reason why I defend anybody who has an opinion that's like, wait a second, you can kind of look at this and be like, well, what's going on here? I mean, J.K. Rowling's entitled to her opinion, and so is the other person to think that they are a woman. That's fine. That's what they want to identify as. But to then be like, oh, she's this transphobic, whatever. It's like, did she say she's transphobic? Did she say she hates trans people? Did she say she's afraid of trans people? No, she didn't say that. So she's not transphobic.
Well, see, it proves my point, though. Exactly my point. Nobody can say anything anymore. Free speech is something that is being turned into a weapon.
Right.
And with the volatile tensions, it's just one thing after another, the virus and the economies and, everything with Mr. Floyd and now it's Pride Month. So all of
that's true.
Everything.
That's true.
It compounds. Tensions are really, really high. And, it's something that hopefully we can heal from instead of grow more hateful from. We'll have to see.
I hope so. I really do. I really do hope so.
It's just about acceptance. Everybody wants to feel accepted. I mean, can you imagine all of the transgendered children and teens that read Harry Potter that felt, and it's feelings. It's everybody wants to be accepted. It's basically like science versus religion. It's science versus feelings. You have facts, but then when you get into the biologics of the human mind and how it works and, transgender and everything like that, it's a completely different ball game. You can't, there is no black and white. There's 100 variants of gray. And it's something that I don't feel like should be spoken about. If it doesn't affect you, then don't talk about it. I mean, you can have an opinion, but if you share it, I'm going to get so much flack from this, and I'm trying to say all the right things.
It's going to be fine. It'll be fine. Look, people know this about me, at least people who listen to the show. I will definitely defend someone if they say something out of context or say something that's kind of misleading. I mean, if she said something was like, I hate trans people or whatever, and no one clipped that one out, that one would be crazy. Then that would be like, okay, that's pretty messed up. I think it looked like, just on face value, it looked like she was trying to go into the science of it, which is like, we can have that talk of what it means. But people are afraid to have that talk because they're afraid to have their feelings get hurt and they get bothered by it. It's like, in some of these people would point the finger, be like, I don't want to get into the details of it, but it's like, people get upset. People get, their feelings hurt, and there's like, it's because what you said was right. They want to be accepted. Well, I mean, you could be accepted, but someone might not accept everything you do, right? I mean,
no, but I mean, exactly like you said earlier, for every time, she has the right to express her opinion.
Yeah.
And if she offends somebody, we are in the day and age of, we are a quickly turning into a keyboard warrior society.
Right.
Um,
And I
everybody
really hate it when
out.
cancel culture comes at anybody. Like I'll defend horror authors that write about maybe some grotesque things. Be like, let's talk about it. You know, it looks like there's something in the story. Okay, well that's not you as a person. Okay, then it looks like they took it out of context there. You know, it looks like they messed it up. They messed up there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, everybody gets misunderstood. You have no idea how many like childhood friends like playing in the sandbox, holding hands as little girls. They found out I wrote horror and instantly I got blocked,
right,
unfriended. Oh, you drink bat semen and toast with Ozzy Osbourne and
what?
virgin blood.
That's
You hate
crazy.
our Lord. No. Like,
Oh,
no, come on. I wrote about killing kids because it's my worst fear. I have 3 little ones.
oh,
I can
that's you. I
harness
like
that
killing kids because I
emotion.
like killing kids. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't say that. No, I'm just joking, joking. Don't worry, You're fine. You're fine. Look, all right, Natalie Brown. We had a great talk. We actually went past an hour a little bit. We went overtime, but
Yeah, covered a lot of stuff.
I enjoyed talking to you about getting another perspective about publishing horror. I feel like we got some material that definitely help writers and those in the writing community that are looking for other ways to make money. I didn't know how much you can make through Reddit. I didn't think about that. So hey, I learned something here today.
Absolutely.
But and for those listening, please press the like button, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to on the podcast feed, leave a comment and a nice rating if you can. And y'all take it easy. Have a good one.